Today I share with you my settings for handheld macro photography with flash. Those settings are saved on my Fujifilm X-T5 that I use with my Laowa 65mm ultra macro, the Godox V350F and my homemade flash diffuser. Those are my base settings that I modify just a little bit depending on the situation, and hopefully you will find the same kind of settings in your camera. Alright, so I shoot in manual mode, and to shoot in manual mode on a Fujifilm X-T5, simply let all the wheels point to a number, as opposite to the letter A that stands for automatic. For Canon, you find the letter M on the mode dial. Also, you see that little switch in front of your camera right here? You switch that knob to M, that is the manual focus. And now you have total control over your camera. But do not worry, in macro photography it's kind of set and forget. But like I said, with small adjustment here and there, usually to get your exposure right. Now that we are in manual mode, let's go in the menu. I will review with you the important settings that I modify for macro in the right order from top to bottom. So let's start with image quality on the top left there. I choose RAW. This is simply the best, biggest file that you can have. If you edit your image in post, you will have a lot more flexibility than with any other format. I was shooting compressed RAW so far, but I will start now to shoot in uncompressed to see if I can manage bigger files and see how it goes. In page 2 you have white balance. I go on color temperature and I set it to 5500 Kelvin. The idea is that you don't want your white balance in automatic when you shoot in burst mode. You want constant result. By default, the white balance is on the D-pad as well as a shortcut. And that's it for IQ. However, in IQ you have also the edit save custom settings, so you might come back here at the end to save all your settings in a specific place if you wish, and you should. Then we have the AFMF menu. We go to the second page and under Manual Focus Assist, I choose Focus Peak Highlight with a color red high. This way a red line will appear around whatever is in focus, and I don't use the two other assists. Note that you can also push that wheel and it will zoom into your image so you can fine-tune your focus. Next, under the camera icon, you have drive settings where you can choose the number of frame of your high-speed burst and your low-speed burst. I don't change anything here. I'm always on low-speed burst, 5 frames per second, and more on that later. But I'm thinking right now going to 7 frames per second and try that. And that low speed burst that I am using is found here on that little knob, you see? That name is CL for continuous low. Then we have shutter type. I am in front curtain shutter. This just worked for me. I didn't try much the other ones. So unless you tell me that electronic is fantastic, I will just stick to my curtain. My image stabilization mode is continuous. It may drain a bit more battery, but I don't really feel it, and I don't have to ask myself, is it on or is it off? It's just always on. Then we turn the flash on, and under flash function settings, not much to change. You can click on zoom and choose the minimum distance, so the flash will be wider, which is good for things that are very close. And under sync I choose first curtain, because that's my shutter type. We will not cover anything related to video. I just shoot in 4K 60 frames per second most of the time, so I can crop and slow the motion if needed. Now, 3 last important things that I change for macro. The first one is a bit less important though. In the range menu, page 1, at the bottom, I click Image Display and I turn it off. It should not affect you if you shoot in burst mode. The image should appear after the last photo that you take, but personally I don't like any disturbance, but you may like it. Now the two next settings are very important. Still in the range menu, screen setup, you click preview exposure white balance in manual mode and you choose off. Because if you have preview on at f11, what you see in your EVF and LCD will be super dark. You don't want a preview if you use a flash. You want a fake live view. Last very important settings to change for macro if your lens is manual without any electronic connection. In the range menu, click button dial setting. You go in the second page and you choose shoot without lens. If you don't do that, your camera will think that there is no lens attached, and if you press the shutter, nothing will happen. A few additional things quickly that are not totally related to macro, but that you may want to consider if you shoot Fujifilm especially. So real quick, still under the range icon you choose power management, and under performance you choose boost. So you will get the best out of your Fujifilm. Under EVF LCD boost setting, you choose low light priority. This one will help you for macro. It will make what you see on your screen a bit brighter. Super helpful in low light. And you choose auto power off, temperature high, so you will have less disturbing warnings. Menu settings done. Now let's talk a little bit about the exposure triangle, ISO, shutter speed and aperture. I have my shutter speed at 1/100th of a second, sometimes more or less. Just remember that you don't want to go over your flash sync speed. Do you see that X beside the number 250 here? You don't want your shutter speed higher than that number, because actually sometimes you will have a photo of your shutter that is not totally open, therefore a half black photo. So just don't go with a shutter speed higher than 1/160th of a second, for example, maybe 1/200th of a second. Although I don't know why you would do that. You need a lot of light, therefore a low shutter speed, and anyway your flash is the one that will freeze the action as long as it overpowers the ambient light, of course. For my aperture, I am around f11, sometimes f8, and rarely f16 actually. It all depends if I need more light or if I need really more of the subject in focus. Keep in mind that I use a cropped sensor. The size of your sensor will influence a little bit the quality of your image at different aperture, as well as the lens actually. So just try on a bill of your currency, of your money, at f5.6, f11 and f16 and f22, and you should be able to see some small degradation of the image quality. And let me know if you see it. If I do some bracketing, then I will opt for more light to help my flash actually. So therefore I will be between f4 and f8. And for the ISO, I try to stay as much as possible at the base ISO of my Fujifilm X-T5, which is 160. And it will depend on your camera. My R7, the base ISO is 100, and for example the OM1, I think it's 200. So just Google it. But sometimes I am at ISO 640 or more if I need more brightness. So to summarize, to simplify all what I just said, shutter speed 1/100th of a second, aperture f11, ISO 160. For the flash, I go in manual mode, of course, and I start at 1/32. I will take a test shoot on my hand, sometimes in the area where the subject is, to have a good idea about my exposure. Then if I have to adjust the brightness, I will start probably with my flash power, then I will choose my shutter speed and try to go down at 1/80th of a second. If it's not enough, I will increase my ISO, and at last I will open my aperture. I just always try to have the flash at minimum power / duration as possible, mainly because it can recharge faster and it will freeze the action better. And I always try to maintain the ISO at minimum as well to avoid noise that will kill the contrast and the image quality in general, the higher you go. Now in my case, I shoot everything in burst mode, 5 frames per second, no matter if I do a bracketing or a single shoot. If I do a single shoot, I just press and hold the shutter for 3, 4, 5 shots, focusing on the eyes in general. Then I shoot from another angle, 3, 5 shoots again, holding the shutter, and then I check my photos and I try again if needed. And sometimes from those single shoots I have 2 or 3 stacks that works well together. And when I do focus bracketing with all the settings we just talked about and with the Godox V350F, if I go lower than 1/16 of the flash power, I never had any blackout yet so far. You are probably good with 1/8 of the power as well, but don't quote me on that, I need to experiment a bit more. So I do focus bracketing with my camera, and then later in post I batch process all my stack with just a few clicks in Helicon Focus. In one of my last video I explained a bit how to batch process in Helicon, link over there in the description below if you want to check out that. And one more important thing about flash diffuser, you should have one that will direct most of the light of your flash onto your subject. Look at here at the difference between no flash diffuser and with my homemade flash diffuser. A huge difference, right? You can buy some very good flash diffuser online for 60–100 bucks, and they are very good. But if you want to make your own for 5 bucks only, you click on that video. I hope I helped. Give me a like. Cheers!